Good morning, everyone. This is Debbie Royce, Empire State Development's Corporate Secretary. I'd like to welcome everyone to this morning's meeting. Before we formally begin, we'll ask that everyone please mute your audio unless you're going to be speaking. As we have our directors joining by video today, we'll just do a quick roll call before we get started. Acting Chair Kevin Eunice.
Here.
Hilda Rosario Escher.
Here.
Eric Gertler.
Present.
Sherry Gleed.
Present.
Michael Rosen.
Present.
And Shirin Imami, who is the designee for acting superintendent of the New York State Department of Financial Services, Adrienne Harris. Okay, I believe she's joining us by audio, and we will hear her when she's able to join. Thanks so much, everyone, for joining. And Acting Chair Eunice, you are ready to begin.
Sorry. Hey, good morning. Kevin Eunice, apologies for the delay. We had some technical issues, and I'm going to get started now. Thanks for your patience. Before I call the meeting to order, I will note for the record that I will be acting chair for today's meeting. I now call to order the meeting of the directors of the New York State Urban Development Corporation, DBA Empire State Development, for Tuesday, September 14th, 2021. Before we begin with the business of the meeting, I'd like to take a moment to note some board and staff changes at ESD. As most of you know, Steve Cohen has resigned from both his position as chair and from the ESD board. Thank you to Steve for his service to ESD and New York State. Additionally, on the staff side, Liz Fine has taken an exciting new role with the governor as counsel to Governor Hochul. Over the last 8 years, as so many of you know, Liz has been a great colleague and will definitely be missed for her good counsel and leadership on all the projects and challenges we have faced here at ESD during her tenure. Fortunately, we are lucky that Goldie Wexel who has been with ESD for the past 7 years and currently serves as the senior managing attorney, has agreed to be ESD's interim general counsel. Thank you, Goldie. Now I'd like to again remind everyone to please mute your audio until you are ready to speak. Also ask that anyone wishing to speak, please be sure to state your name before you begin. I'd like to note for the record that in accordance with recently passed legislation, this meeting will be conducted by video and teleconference. I also note for the record that the public has been given the opportunity to comment on the agenda items by submitting their written comments by 4:30 p.m. yesterday. I'd like to say for the record that no comments were received from the public concerning today's agenda. As always, the directors have received written materials in advance of today's meeting and are free to ask questions at any time during the presentation. At this time, I would ask the directors whether anyone has any potential conflict of interest with respect to any of the items on the agenda. If so, I would please ask that you make an appropriate disclosure on the record, and we will remind you to recuse yourself from any discussion or vote with regard to that item or items. Hearing none, the first item on today's agenda is the approval of the minutes of June 24th, 2021 directors meeting. And again, remind you to please state your name before speaking. Any comments, questions, or deletions? If not, I would entertain a motion for approval.
Motion.
Second. All in favor?
Aye. Aye.
Any opposed? Thank you. Motion carries. I will now ask Peter Heilbrunn to present an item relating to the corporation's annual investment report and investment guidelines. Peter, when you're ready, please begin.
Yep. Thank you, Kevin. Good morning, everyone. We bring this item to the board every year because public authorities law requires annual approval of the investment report. This report details, among other things, ESD investment guidelines, results of the annual audit, and the investment performance for the fiscal year. There are no recommended changes to the investment guidelines. The auditors did not identify any deficiencies in internal control over investment compliance. The total investment earnings for the fiscal year were $5.3 million, which is significantly less than the $36.7 billion from the prior fiscal year. The decrease is primarily due to the steep drop in yields that occurred with the COVID-19 pandemic. These earnings were generated from corporate funds, revenue bond funds, and economic development project and program funds. Of the total investment transactions executed, bids by MWBE firms resulted in 30% being placed with those firms. The portfolio reflects our focus on, in order of priority, number one, preservation of capital, number two, providing liquidity for funding obligations, and number three, return on investment. For the fiscal year, average investments were $3.4 billion with an average maturity of 68 days and an average weighted yield of 0.15%. As a benchmark, the average yield for the fiscal year for U.S. agency discount notes with a 2-month maturity was 0.06%. And the full report contains detailed information. Thank you.
Thank you, Peter. Are there any questions or comments from the directors? All right. As noted earlier, we do not have any comments from the public with regard to this item, and I would entertain a motion for approval.
Move. Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Thank you. The motion carries. I will now ask Pravina Raghavan, ESD's Executive Vice President of the Small Business Division and Technology Development, to provide us with a status report on the COVID-19 Pandemic Small Business Recovery Grant Program. Pravina, when you're ready. Pravina, if you're on. All right, Debbie, I'm gonna. This is an informational item, so let's move on from here, if that's all right with everybody. I know Pravina may not be on the line given the late start, so apologies. Let's move to Glendon McCleary, ESD's Vice President and Director of Loans and Grants. Glenn, if you're ready to present a summary of the loans and grants projects, that'd be great.
Thank you. Good morning, Kevin, and good morning to the directors. The directors will be requested to consider 9 projects totaling $5,530,000 in grants and a loan. The projects include 2 Buffalo Billing Awards, 5 Regional Council Awards, and 2 discretionary awards. The projects will take place in the Western New York, Central New York, North Country, Mohawk Valley, Mid-Hudson, New York City, and Capital Regions, leverage over $62 million of additional investment, retain 142 jobs, and create 490 jobs in the state. Thank you.
Thanks, Glenn. We'll now move to the project section of today's agenda. Regional directors and program staff are on the line with us to present the items and answer any questions related to those items. To start with Amanda Mays, our Western New York Regional Director. Once Amanda provides, she has 2 projects. Once she provides the presentations on those, we'll take separate votes on each of the items. So Amanda, when you're ready, let's begin with the Olympic Avenue Housing Project.
Thank you. Good morning. The ESD directors are requested to approve a $500,000 loan from the Buffalo Regional Innovation Cluster Fund, which is Buffalo Billion, to CDS Buffalo 78 LLC to offset a portion of costs associated with the $19 million adaptive reuse project to transform 78,000 square feet of vacant historic building into a new mixed-use facility on the City of Buffalo's east side. The project, which was awarded funding through Round 4 of the Better Buffalo Fund's Transit-Oriented Development Program, will result in the renovation of the former public school number 78 into 46 residential units targeted to households with incomes at 30%, 50%, or 60% of area median income. A portion of the units will also be reserved for individuals with physical disabilities and with whom the nonprofit Western New York Independent Living will be working to provide supportive services. In addition, the facility will include amenities for residents and multi-purpose community space. The project reuses a vacant building and provides new, high-quality, affordable housing and resources for the East Side community, implementing smart growth and complementing ongoing ESD projects in the East Side's commercial districts. The project will begin construction in October, and at this time is seeking ESD approval to secure the permanent financing prior to the closing of the construction financing. The second project we have is for Be in Buffalo Invest Buffalo Niagara Talent Attraction Marketing. The directors are requested to approve a grant of up to $400,000 through the Buffalo Regional Innovation Cluster, Buffalo Billion 2, to invest Buffalo Niagara for expansion of its Be in Buffalo campaign. The grant is being offered as part of a regional initiative to improve the tech sector workforce that includes programs to bolster the region's technology workforce. In fall of 2019, the Western New York REDC undertook an effort to understand the technology talent shortage in the region and identified that creating, attracting, and retaining talent with modern technology skills will be a key differentiator for the Western New York region to be successful even then, which has only been further evident throughout the course of the COVID-19 pandemic. The Western New York REDC's plan includes initiatives that target the ongoing challenge of growing the region's labor pool through programs that seek to increase the tech talent pool and help Western New York continue to rebuild its economy. The awarding of funding towards Invest Buffalo Niagara's campaign was identified as one project that was ready to go and able to be expanded, which will attract highly skilled workers to the region from the technology sector. ESD assistance will fund the development and production of extended digital marketing for tech sector-focused talent recruitment efforts, as well as extended marketing efforts outside of the Western New York regions in the markets of San Francisco, Los Angeles, Boston, and Washington, D.C. The Be in Buffalo campaign will also be utilized in conjunction with talent attraction efforts by 43 North and Tech Buffalo, as well as other programs that are part of ESD's Buffalo Niagara Talent Attraction Initiative to increase the labor pool and respond to growing employer hiring needs in the region.
All right, thanks, Amanda. Are there any questions or comments from the directors with regard to either of these two items? And again, we do not have any comments from the public. All right, hearing no questions, I'll now entertain a motion for approval of item 2A, the Olympic Avenue Housing Capital Loan Project. Motion. All right.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? All right, thank you. The motion carries. I will now entertain a motion for approval of item 2B, the Investment Buffalo Niagara Talent Attraction Marketing Project. Just a reminder, please state your name before even the motion so that we can have it reflected in the record. Do I have a motion?
Motion, Hilda.
Thank you, Hilda.
Second, Michael.
Thank you, Michael. All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? All right, thank you. The motion carries. Jim Thale will now present an item from our Central New York region. Jim, when you're ready, please begin. Thanks.
All right. Good morning. The directors are being asked to approve a $800,000 grant to Cayuga Community College on a $1.55 million project. This was one of the round 3 DRI projects. Auburn was the round 3 winner. And this project is going to involve the renovation and equipment of a culinary institute, which will include instructional space, cafe, commercial grade kitchen. And it has fulfilled many of the key aspects of DRI, including developing the workforce, providing workforce training, creating diverse environmental and entrepreneurial opportunities, and promote infill and redevelopment of vacant land. This project was completed in July of this year. It had to stop during COVID. It was deemed a non-essential construction project. This project is located in the heart of downtown Auburn. And again, all DRI projects are done in concert with DOS. And I'll entertain any questions.
Great. Thanks, Jim. Any questions from the directors with regard to item 2C? again, as we noted earlier, no comments from the public with regard to this item. I will now entertain a motion for approval.
Eric, motion.
Sherry, second.
Thank you. All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? All right, thank you. The motion carries. Steve Hunt will now present an item from our North Country region. Steve, when you're ready, please begin.
Good morning, Kevin. Good morning, directors. I'm presenting one project from the North Country today, awarded a Regional Council Capital Grant. We're seeking board authorization to release $665,000 to the town of Clayton for a portion of a $3,333,667 construction and renovation project to upgrade the Ciro Recreational Park facility. The project includes 2 additions, accessibility upgrades, meeting rooms, multi-purpose space, locker rooms, and seating and event space to draw larger national and international sporting and entertainment events to the region. The project is in alignment with the North Country Regional Economic Development Council's efforts to build the global sports and tourism infrastructure in the North Country. The project is complete and the facility is open to the public. Because the town has satisfied its obligations under the incentive proposal, ESD is now recommending that the board authorize the release of funds for this project. I'm happy to take any questions.
Great, Steve. Thank you. Are there any questions or comments from the directors with regard to item 2D as presented by Steve? Great. As noted earlier, we do not have any comments from the public with regard to this item, and I would entertain a motion for approval.
Sherry,
Motion. Hilda.
Thank you. All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Thank you. The motion carries. I've been reminded that I need to go back and note for the record that while we did not receive any comments with regard to any of the items on this agenda, we did receive comments from regarding items that are not non-agenda related items, and those comments will be held until such time as that item is before the board for consideration. And from there, I would move on to Mike Reese, who will present an item from the Mohawk Valley region. Mike, when you're ready, please begin.
Good morning, Kevin. Good morning, Board of Directors. I have one project to present this morning. I'm asking the directors to approve a grant of up to $345,000 from the Regional Council Capital Fund to Herkimer Affordable Housing to be used for a portion of the cost of constructing a new 5,500 square foot mixed-use building with a Head Start and Early Head Start child care program. Herkimer Affordable Housing is a nonprofit corporation formed in 2017 with the exclusive purposes of facilitating the Herkimer Housing Authority's development projects. This project involved the demolition of a long vacant blighted structure and the construction of a new 5,500 square foot building. The new building was designed to meet the Head Start and New York State HCR standards and includes an on-site kitchen, motor skills room, and age-appropriate indoor and outdoor play areas. The project will allow for an increase in capacity to serve an additional 18 children from 34 to 52 in the Head Start and Early Head Start programs. The affordable housing piece will allow for 50 families or individuals to live in a safe building that is ADA and HCR compliant. Total budget for the project is $21,681,000, with the commercial portion of the budget being $1,945,000. The Regional Council Capital Grant is up to $345,000. Project is consistent with the Mohawk Valley REDC plan to remove barriers to employment by increasing access to quality and enriching childcare. I'd be glad to answer any questions.
Thank you, Mike. Are there any questions or comments from the directors with regard to item 2B? Great. And again, no comments from the public with regard to this item, and I would now entertain a motion for approval.
Michael moved.
Sherry, second.
Thank you. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Beautiful. Thank you. The motion carries. James Kostenblatt will now present an item from the Mid-Hudson. James, you're ready.
Thank you, Kevin, and good morning, everyone. The directors are being asked to approve disbursement of a regional council capital grant of up to $320,000 from round 8 to the Thornwillow Institute for the Thornwillow Makers Village Capital Project, which is located in the city of Newburgh in Orange County. The organization is near completion of its first milestone, which is construction of one of the buildings or renovation of one of the buildings, and they will be requesting disbursement of the first tranche of the grant. The Thornwillow Makers Village is a downtown revitalization and placemaking project situated in the distressed city of Newburgh, which is marked with high unemployment and poverty rates. Thornwillow is investing $1.6 million to renovate 2 historic buildings that have been vacant for years. They'll be renovating 16,000 square feet into work studios, housing for their internship and fellowship program, a gallery and event space, teaching space, and a community bookstore and cafe. The renovation of one of the buildings began with a groundbreaking in June of this year, attended by then Lieutenant Governor Kathy Hochul, and it's expected to be completed shortly. Renovations of the second building are expected to be completed in fall of 2022. I do want to note that your board materials today say that the completion date for the project is September 2021. That's a mistake. We're working on correcting, and I just want to note again, the full project completion date is October 2022. The project strongly aligns with the Mid-Hudson Regional Economic Development Council's Live, Work, and Play strategy and was identified by the council as a priority project in round 8. I'm happy to answer any questions.
Thank you, James. Are there any questions from the directors?
I have one question. This says that the ESD finance rating score is poor. I don't know what those mean. Can you just explain why I shouldn't care about that?
That is a really good question. I'll have to check with the finance team on what led to that determination.
Is there anybody from Rob Kwan's shop on that might be able to speak to that, or should we reconnect with Director Lease after the meeting?
I think we should reconnect later.
All right, Sherry, apologies, but we'll circle back with you.
I mean, I'm fine with it. I'm sure it's part of your overall assessment, but I just didn't understand what that meant.
All right. Are there any other questions or comments from the directors with regard to this item? If not, I would also note that there were no comments from the public received on this item and would entertain a motion for approval.
Motion, Hilda.
Second, Michael.
Thank you. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Thank you. The motion carries. Joe Tazwell will now present 2 items from the New York City region. And again, once Joe provides the presentations, we'll take separate votes on each of the items. Joe, when you're ready, thank you.
Good morning. I have the first request here is for approval of a $500,000 grant for the Brooklyn Public Library in connection with the renovation and equipping of its new 5,800 square foot business and career development center. The center is located in the library's central location at Grand Army Plaza. This project was designated as a priority project by the New York City Regional Council in round 7, as it is in alignment with state and regional workforce development strategies. Brooklyn Public Library is one of the nation's largest systems, serving the 2.6 million residents of Brooklyn. It operates independently of the New York City's 2 other library systems, the New York Public Library and the Queens Public Library. In May, the Brooklyn Public Library announced the completion of phase 1 of its Central Library Revitalization Project, which began in April 2018 and was designed by Toshiko Mori Architects. With the temporary closure of the library's Brooklyn Heights branch in 2016, the Business and Career Development Center was moved from Brooklyn Heights to the Central Library to increase accessibility. The center, which was completed at a cost of $7.2 million, is expected to serve 30,000 business owners, entrepreneurs, and job seekers annually with over 650 programs, including classes, workshops, and events. The center will also include new meeting and classroom space, as well as individualized assistance and technology. The library has satisfied its obligations under the ESD incentive proposal, and staff is now recommending that the directors authorize the release of funds for this project. The second project is a request for approval of a $1 million grant for Great Performances Artists as Waitresses, Inc., in connection with the renovation and equipping of a new 51,000 square foot facility, which is located in the Bruckner Building in the South Bronx. This project was designated as a priority project by the New York City Regional Council in Round 8, as it is in alignment with state and regional strategies for downtown revitalization and workforce development. Great Performances was founded in 1979 and is the largest women-owned catering company in New York City. The company is the exclusive caterer of many New York's most prestigious locations, including the Plaza Hotel, Jazz at Lincoln Center, the Brooklyn Museum, the Brooklyn Academy of Music, and the Apollo Theater. It also operates over a dozen local cafes and eateries. Before relocating to the Bronx, the company leased space at 304 Hudson Street in Lower Manhattan. When the Walt Disney Company acquired that building in July 2018 for its new New York City headquarters, Great Performances was asked to find a new location. The company then approached ESD for assistance with the relocation and expansion of its office and food preparation operation to the South Bronx. Following the REDC award in 2018, the company accepted ESD's incentive proposal the following year. Despite the impacts to the company's business resulting from the pandemic, it has invested $7.3 million in the location to accommodate kitchens, warehouse space, studio training space. The project, which was completed last April, will result in the retention of 142 existing jobs and the creation of 490 jobs. On May 4th, then Lieutenant Governor Hochul attended a ribbon-cutting ceremony at the company's new facility. I just would like to mention that at the height of the pandemic, the company pivoted to catering events to producing 40,000 weekly meals for the New York City Department of Aging and another 100,000 meals weekly for the distribution for the New York City Office of Emergency Management for hotels, food pantries, and community centers. Thank you.
That's great, Joe. Thank you. Are there any questions or comments from the directors on either of these two items? Again.
I'll just make a quick comment. The space for Great Performances is just terrific. I had a chance to visit that with Joe, so it's a great project in an area that needs it. So that's very exciting.
Thanks, Eric. Any other comments or questions from the directors? No comments were received from the public with regard to either of these items. I would now entertain a motion to approve item 2G, the Brooklyn Public Library Capital Project.
Motion, Eric.
Second, Michael.
All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Thank you. Motion carries. I'd entertain a motion for approval now of 2H, the Great Performances Catering Capital Project. Do I have a second?
Second, Hilda.
All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Thank you. Motion carries. We next have Restore New York Communities Capital Grant, which will be presented by Simone Bethune. Simone, when you're ready.
Thank you, Kevin. Good morning to everyone. The directors are being requested to approve a $1 million grant to the Village of Catskill in the Capital Region to assist in funding an approximately $4.3 million renovation project. The Village applied for Restore New York funding assistance under round 5 of the program in December 2017 to renovate the Foreland building, a 46,384 square foot former millinery and furniture warehouse, into a commercial office building with a focus on the arts and creative economy. The new facility will support entrepreneurs along with providing retail, event, and restaurant space. As of May 2021, the Foreland building was completely renovated and is in the early stages of tenant occupation. It is anticipated that Foreland will be completely leased in the next 12 to 18 months. Because the City of Catskill has satisfied its obligations under the approved application, ESD is recommending the board authorize the release of funds for this project.
Thank you, Simone. Are there any questions or comments from the directors with regard to this item? We do not have any comments from the public on this item, and I would entertain a motion for approval.
Motion, Hilda.
Second, Eric.
All in favor?
Aye. Aye.
Any opposed? Thank you. The motion carries. Simone is up again, this time to present at the direction of item. Simone.
Thank you. The directors are being requested to approve a $500,000 local assistance grant originating from the New York State Assembly and initiated in the 2020-2021 New York State budget to the Queens Chamber of Commerce at the direction of State Assembly member Michael Dendecker, who represented New York State Assembly District 34. The Queens Chamber of Commerce completed an ESD application in July 2021, which was subsequently reviewed and approved to move forward. These funds will be used to allow the Queens Chamber to oversee 5 Queens-based economy recovery initiatives, which will operate through December 2021. The initiatives are the Queens Economic Development Guide, the Business and College Internship Connection, Queens Best Destination, and COVID Relief and Support Services. The Queens Chamber's COVID support in particular will make information available for Queens-based businesses to navigate landlord-tenant issues, private and government grants and loans, access to personal protective equipment, compliance, and New York City's open restaurants program support. In addition, businesses will also have access to technical support services to help with launching and expanding e-commerce sites, social media marketing, and website design to better market their goods and services to a broader audience. The Queens Chamber has initiated these programs and has met the required milestones to be eligible to seek board approval. Therefore, we request the board's authorization to make this grant.
Thank you, Simone. Are there any questions or comments from the directors with regard to this item? Again, no comments from the public on this item, and I would entertain a motion for approval.
Motion, Hilda.
Eric, second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Thank you. The motion carries. We now have 2 New York Ventures investment items, which will be presented by Jennifer Teagan and Momo B. After both investments are presented, we will take a vote on each item. Jennifer, when you're ready, please begin. Thank you.
Good morning, Kevin and Board of Directors. New York Ventures is seeking approval from the directors for a follow-on investment of up to $700,000 in the $10 million Series A preferred investment financing of Envisagenics. The round is being led by Beverly Hills-based Red Cell Partners. In 2015 and 2017, ESD invested $500,000 and $200,000 respectively in the company's convertible note financing rounds. Envisagenics is a minority woman-founded biotechnology company based in New York City and originally formed out of Cold Spring Harbor Laboratory. The company uses advanced patented machine learning algorithms to identify the RNA splicing errors and variants that are the root causes of cancer and other genetic diseases. The software and computing tool that the company has developed allows it to address and to identify with its partners and itself and on its own to develop therapeutic targets and compounds for diseases such as triple-negative breast cancer, acute myeloid leukemia, lung cancer, and central nervous system diseases. The latter 2 programs it is doing in paid partnerships with Johnson & Johnson and Biogen, respectively. The management team is made up of experienced researchers and business leaders who have helped to develop and bring to market other life-changing compounds, such as the RNA therapeutic drug Spinraza, which is a drug that is used currently to treat children with spinal muscular atrophy. The company will use these funds to grow its team, to develop additional partnerships, and to continue to pursue therapeutic targets and research using its platform. As part of the due diligence process, New York Ventures and the External Investment Advisory Committee evaluated the company's business plan growth prospects, as well as the terms of the investment. We all agree that the market opportunity and growth potential offered by Envisagenics warrants an investment by the fund and recommend its approval. I'd be happy to answer any questions.
Thanks, everyone. Hold on 1 minute, please. Kevin, I think, has lost his audio. So hold on 1 second. Thanks, everyone. Kevin is just reconnecting to his audio. Thanks so much for your patience.
Hello?
Hello?
Yes.
Hi, we can hear you. Yes, thanks,
Yeah,
Kevin.
well, I would love to say that was anything other than user error, but rather than hitting unmute, I hit goodbye. So apologies. Jennifer, thank you.
Kevin, there's pressure being in the hot seat.
Really, I'm collapsing here. Momo, when you're ready, if you'd like to present your item, and then we'll take questions on both of the items.
Thank you, Kevin. Good morning, directors. We'll be asking the directors to approve up to $1 million in a Series A bridge safe round into MyNU. MyNU is a software company that provides a voice-based conversational artificial intelligence virtual care management system. And it's used to supplement human-based care management system. Human-based care management system has demonstrated a reduction in medical expenditure by 37% and inpatient utilization by 59%. Although this is highly effective, it is labor-intensive, therefore expensive and challenging to scale. So human-based care management system is currently only focused on the most complex members of health plans, which is their top 5%. Even though the demand for such service is estimated at about 20% of the members, there's a significant mismatch in supply and demand. MyNU's first product, MyEleanor Virtual Care Manager, is a conversational AI-based voice bot that can conduct routine personalized calls to seniors. The information is analyzed using machine learning algorithms and predictive analytics to detect anomalies, which are relevant to care team, which and then are elevated to care team managers so they can intervene if it's necessary. So MyNU's immediate market is about 20% of the Medicare Advantage members, and that's about $5.7 billion per year based on the current business model. With new use cases being developed and new features being built, the market could be multiples of this initial market. But more importantly, this approach to proactively reach out to patients to collect longitudinal data is revolutionary in care management and will provide significant cost savings to our healthcare systems in the future. In order to fund the company's activities over the next 12 to 18 months, MindU is raising up to $4 million SAFE financing. New York Ventures is planning to invest up to $1 million into this round, with the balance led and provided by private sector investors. As part of the due diligence process, New York Ventures and an external investment advisory committee have evaluated the company's business plan, growth prospects, as well as the terms of the investment, and we recommend its approval. Happy to answer any questions.
All right, Momo, Jennifer, thank you. Really exciting and interesting opportunities. Are there any questions or comments from the directors with regard to these items? All right, hearing none, we do not have any comments from the public on these items, and I would now entertain a motion for approval of item 4A, which is the investment in Envisagenics, as presented by Jennifer.
Motion, Hilda.
Second, Michael.
Thank you. All in favor?
Aye.
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 Any opposed? Thank you. The motion carries. I would now entertain a motion for approval of item 4B, which is the investment in MindU, as presented by Momo B.
Motion, Michael.
Do I have a second?
Second, Hilda.
Thank you. All in favor?
Aye.
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 Any opposed? Right. The motion carries. Doug Carr will now present the agenda item relating to the Highline Moynihan Connector project. Doug, when you're ready, thank you.
Hello, good morning, Kevin, and good morning to the directors. The directors are being asked to adopt a general project plan for the Highline Moynihan Connector Civic Project and to take related actions. As part of this item, the directors are requested to adopt project findings pursuant to Section 10 of the UDC Act, adopt the proposed GPP, authorize a public hearing on the proposed GPP, make a determination of no significant effect on the environment, authorize the making of a grant to the Friends of the Highline organization, and to authorize related actions. These actions would allow ESD to schedule a public hearing on the proposed GPP and thereafter commence a 30-day comment period. By way of background, the project would provide a new elevated landscaped public pathway starting at the present terminus of the Highline Spur, which terminates currently at West 30th Street and 10th Avenue. The project would extend eastward parallel to 30th Street across property owned by the Port Authority of New York and New Jersey along the east-west portion of Dyer, and then turn north at the mid-block point, continuing on Dyer Avenue over West 31st Street and connecting to the existing publicly accessible open space known as Magnolia Court in the Manhattan West development. From here, pedestrians would have access to an existing publicly accessible path through the Manhattan West development to 9th Avenue, directly across from the Farley office building and the new Moynihan train hall. At the western end, the proposed project would connect to the existing Highline, and this new pathway would provide a safe, seamless, and inviting connection for pedestrians through a heavily trafficked and an uninviting area, and would improve public access and pedestrian mobility between the transportation hubs to the east, Moynihan Train Hall and Pennsylvania Station, and Hudson Yards, the Highline and Manhattan West side neighborhoods. Regarding project implementation, the project will be designed and built by a public-private partnership among ESD, the Port Authority of New York and New Jersey, the Friends of the Highline organization, and Brookfield Properties. Friends of the Highline will act as a developer and grantee and as a nonprofit organization which works with communities on and off the Highline in Manhattan. Friends of Highline is devoted to reimagining the role of public spaces and their ability to connect and improve neighborhoods and cities. Brookfield is a real estate firm and developer and the owner of Manhattan West, and Brookfield is expected to hold the contracts for the design and the construction of the project. Regarding project financials, ESD funds in the amount not to exceed $20 million will be provided to the Friends of the Highline, which will reimburse a portion of the costs associated with the design and construction of the project. ESD funds are critical in order to allow the project to be implemented. The remaining funds of the $50 million budgeted project will come from contributions from the partnership entities. Regarding environmental, the ESD staff recommends that the directors make a determination of no significant effect on the environment. ESD, as lead agency, has completed an environmental review of the proposed project pursuant to the requirements of the State Environmental Quality Review Act, SECRA, and the implementation regulations of the New York State Department of Environmental Conservation. This review, which was coordinated with involved agencies, found the project to be an unlisted action that would not result in significant adverse impact to the environment. Regarding overrides, ESD intends to override certain aspects of the New York City zoning resolution and the New York City Charter, including the requirements of the Uniform Land Use Review Procedure, ULURP, and the Public Design Commission review in order to effectuate the project. Given the unique nature and function of this project, compliance with certain requirements of ULURP and zoning resolution is not feasible or practical, and ESD has consulted with the City of New York regarding these overrides. While we are overriding the ULURP process and the PDC review, we will be generally consistent with the city process required for revocable consents. And finally, regarding community outreach, ESD, in partnership with Friends of Highline, has met with local community stakeholders, including Community Board 4, local elected officials, and other community groups. To date, ESD and Friends of Highline have participated in over 15 meetings with local community stakeholders. During the public review of the proposed GPP, ESD will continue to consult with local elected officials, community groups, and other interested members of the public in planning and development of the project, along with our commitment to work with the city on agreements consistent with the revocable consent and to ongoing consultation with affected city departments and agencies regarding the design and operation of the project. With that, I'm happy to take any questions from the directors.
Thank you, Doug. Are there any comments or questions from the directors with regard to this item? All right. As noted, we have not received any comments from the public with regard to this item, and I would now entertain a motion for approval.
Motion, Hilda.
Michael, second.
Thank you. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. Allison Bia is up next with an item relating to the Brooklyn Developmental Center Mixed-Use Project. Allison.
Good morning, Eric. Good morning, directors. Kevin. Today we're asking the directors to take actions related to the Brooklyn Developmental Center Mixed-Use Project. As you may recall from my presentation of this project at the May 2021 board meeting, the project involves the comprehensive redevelopment of the remaining portion of the former Brooklyn Developmental Center campus in East New York, Brooklyn, with over 2,400 units of affordable housing, generous open space, a new health clinic, and other amenities. This project is part of the state's Vital Brooklyn initiative, which addresses chronic social, economic, and health disparities in central Brooklyn. Full details describing the RFP process, the proposed project, and the transaction details are in your materials. To effectuate the project, ESD will acquire approximately 28 acres of property from DASNY and convey 27.1 of those acres to the development team. Through the General Project Plan, or GPP, that we are requesting the directors affirm today, ESD will override local zoning to allow for the project's implementation. The updated versions of the GPP and the design guidelines, which will apply in lieu of zoning, are included in your materials. On May 20th, 2021, the directors authorized the corporation to adopt findings in a GPP to hold a public hearing on the draft environmental impact statement, or DEIS, and the GPP. A public hearing was held on June 24th, and ESD received written comments through July 26th. A total of 5 oral and written comments were received. We reviewed and considered all the comments and provided written responses to each of them in the final environmental impact statement for the project, which is in your materials. The New York State Environmental Quality Review Act, or SEQRA, requires the adoption of written findings supported by a statement of relevant facts and conclusions considered prior to agency decisions on actions that have been the subject of an FEIS. The SEQRA finding statement is in your materials, and it contains those facts and conclusions. ESD has worked closely with the local elected officials, the community board, and other stakeholders, as well as the City of New York, in shaping and refining this project, and it garners broad public support. The new mixed-use, health-focused community, providing much-needed, affordable, and supportive housing and jobs, will generate long-term economic benefits for the surrounding community, the city, and the state. We are now asking the directors to adopt the SEQRA findings, affirm land use improvement and residential project findings, affirm the general project plan as modified, authorize the acquisition and disposition of real property, and authorize all related actions. I'm happy to take any questions.
Thank you, Allison. Are there comments or questions from the directors with regard to this item? Again, no comments from the public on this item, and I would entertain a motion for approval.
Michael moved.
Second, Hilda.
Thank you. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? All right, thank you. The motion carries. I'd like now to turn to Goldie Wexel, who I noted earlier is with Liz Fine's departure, our acting general counsel. Goldie has a long list of items for you to consider today, a long list of administrative actions. So, Goldie, when you're ready.
I would just like to jump in and say, Goldie, thank you for taking on the additional responsibilities. And if Kevin thinks this is a test by giving you all these administrative actions, I, for one, know that you will pass with flying colors. So I am not, for one, worried about this whatsoever.
Okay. Thank you, Eric. I appreciate that. And thank you, Kevin, and good morning, directors. For those of you new to the board, and as a reminder for existing members, in order to help streamline our board meetings, we have implemented an oral summary presentation process in connection with the administrative items section of our agenda. So that is what I'm going to be doing right now. As you know, you received a full set of written descriptive materials for each of the items in your board materials, but rather than having individual oral presentations made on each, I will provide a brief summary of the items. At the conclusion of the summary, we will then entertain any comments or questions the directors might have. As noted earlier, we did not receive any comments from the public on any of these items. Following my presentation and any questions, the acting chair will then call for a motion to approve the entire slate of administrative actions, items 7A through 7R. The administrative items submitted for your consideration today and for which you have received written materials are summarized as follows. First, we have an authorization request to make 2 statutory payments in connection with the New York State Electric Generation Facility Cessation Mitigation Program to the Village of Buchanan in the amount of $773,568 and to the Dunkirk City School District in the amount of $1,519,976. The payments will offset a reduction in revenue due to the closure of the Indian Point Energy Center in April 2021 and the closure of the Dunkirk Power Plant in January 2016, respectively. The next 2 items relate to approvals of pre-qualification lists. These are a list of firms specializing in services related to our real estate practice and our planning and related consultants practice and owners representation list. Both lists were selected through competitive solicitations, and approval of these lists do not commit the corporation to any expenditure of funds at this time. The list simply continues a pre-qualification process that allows the corporation to procure services with greater agility. Upon approval, it is recommended that these lists remain in effect for 4 years. These lists consist of the following specific services: owners' representatives, real estate planning and advisory services, financial and economic analysis, architecture and design, construction and engineering, Phase 1 environmental site assessment, environmental review, infrastructure advisory services, transportation planning, historic preservation, adaptive reuse, and surveyors. In keeping with ESD's commitment to promote the participation of minority, women, and veteran-owned businesses in ESD projects, more than 35% of the firms included on each list are either state-certified service-disabled veteran-owned businesses or a minority or woman-owned business enterprise. The next item relates to the Empire Station Complex project, and it is an authorization to amend a consulting contract with FX Collaborative for architectural planning and design guideline services in connection with the Empire Station project in an amount not to exceed $577,300. This increase reflects the significant additional work FXC is undertaking as a result of the intensive public engagement process ESD launched with the Community Advisory Committee Working Group, or CACWG, in April. FXC is assisting ESD refine the Empire Station General Project Plan in response to recommendations by the CACWG and will continue its work through the preparation of the final GPP. The next few items relate to contract authorizations in connection with the Kingsborough Psychiatric Center Development Project. They include contract authorizations for an environmental consultant services and 2 legal services contracts, one for real estate counsel and environmental legal services in connection with the project. Just for these next items, E through G, I am going to ask my colleague Doug McPherson of ESD's Real Estate Department to join this presentation for a moment or so to provide some brief background on this project, since this matter, the board has not been briefed yet on this project, which will come back to the board for later approvals. Doug, are you there?
Yeah, I'm here. Just so, for some brief background, the project we've been calling the Kingsborough Psychiatric Center is a 7-acre portion of an Office of Mental Health campus in Brooklyn, being surplused and redeveloped as the latest affordable housing site in the Vital Brooklyn initiative. We released an RFP last year, and earlier this year conditionally designated a team led by Breaking Ground and Douglaston Development. And they're now charged with bringing 900 units of affordable housing, open space, transitional housing for single adult men, and other amenities aimed at improving community health in the area for a site that's currently mostly vacant. The project's in pre-development, and we plan to come back to the developers next year for adoption of a general project plan, acceptance of a draft EIS and related items, but I'm happy to return at an earlier date to provide the board with more detailed overview of the project, at your request.
Thanks very much, Doug. The next several items, H through L, include authorizations for legal services contracts, 1 new legal service contract, and 4 legal services existing contract amendments with 5 separate firms in connection with the Buffalo Bills Stadium Project, the Belmont Park Redevelopment Civic and Land Use Improvement Project, the New York Ventures Program, the Bronx Psychiatric Center Redevelopment Project, and the 121 West 125th Street Urban League Empowerment Center Land Use Improvement and Civic Project. The contract terms, amounts, and scopes of services are included in the written materials for your reference. The next three items, M through O, are requests for extensions of the IT-related contracts and funds for 1, Q&A Tech, which provides a dedicated network security and system engineer to ESD to support its security systems. 2, for Z7 Solutions LLC engineers who will provide professional services including solutions, architecture, implementation, daily operations, and support of ESD's virtual desktop infrastructure. And 3, to pay 8x8 telecommunication services reseller Insight for services rendered. For that one, the funds in the original contract were depleted ahead of schedule due to increased telecommunication services needs required during the pandemic. Insight continued to support us while we made the transition into a new contract with 8x8 directly. Item P is the approval for an amendment to ESD Marketing's existing Lowell Campbell Ewald Marketing Agency contract to extend the contract for 1 year through November 30th, 2022. At this time, a raise in the contract cap is not requested. It will remain at a not-to-exceed amount of $100 million. All current contract terms will extend to this amendment. Item Q is a request for authorization to enter into a 3-year consultant services contract in an amount not to exceed $178,783 with Hofstra University to adapt and integrate the principles of the Business Model Canvas and the Lean Launchpad into the components of Entrepreneurship Assistance Center's EAC entrepreneurial curriculum, train the EAC trainers on the new curriculum, and produce a training manual of the curriculum for future use. The source of funding is from New York State's annual budget allocation to the EAC program. Lastly, item R is an authorization to extend the term of the agreement with Mason Tillman Associates for consulting services to design and conduct studies regarding potentially increasing the personal net worth threshold. This is an MWBE certification eligibility criteria, and establishing workforce diversity goals in construction. It would be extended by an additional 9 months through May 31st, 2022 for a new total contract term of approximately 23 months. This term extension will allow Mason Tillman to continue to gather data and conduct analysis, as well as complete the reports that may become the foundation for MWBE program changes. The contract amount is not expected to change. I will now turn it back to our acting chair, Kevin, who will call for any questions or comments you might have on any of these items before calling for a vote. We also have item-related staff on the line today as well to take any specific questions you might have. Thanks very much.
Thank you, Goldie, and thank you for everyone for your patience as we made our way through these long list of administrative actions. As noted earlier, we do not have any comments from the public, but are there any questions or comments from the directors with regard to any of these items? If not, I would entertain a motion of approval for items 7A through 7R as submitted on the written materials provided to the directors and summarized orally today.
It's Eric, motion.
Second, Michael.
All right, thank you. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? All right, the motion carries. The remaining items on the agenda were provided for the directors for the information, and no presentations will be made. There being no further business, may I have a motion to adjourn this meeting?
Motion.
Second,
Hilda.
Michael. Thank you. Thank you. So, all in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed?
Aye. Great job,
carries.
Kevin.
Well done, Kevin.
Thank you.
Good work,
Thank you,
Kevin.
everybody, for your help and
Thank you, Kevin.
patience. Talk soon.
Okay.
Thanks.
Bye.
See y'all.
Have a blessed day.
Thank you.
Nailed it.